When Jesus died and rose again, he came to his disciples and he gave them an order as their leader. He started it off by telling them, he said, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. And he said that to let everybody know that there was nothing that he could not do. And because he gives us that power, there is nothing that we cannot do. And having said that, he gave this directive. He said, go ye therefore and teach or make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. There was a man, a Methodist preacher, long time ago, by the name of William Booth, him and his wife Catherine. They asked a question about this directive. How can we do this when people are hungry and have nothing to wear? How do you tell somebody about Jesus when they're starving to death? You gotta feed them and clothe them first. And then they'll be able to hear you when you talk to them about Jesus. They were the founders of the Salvation Army. And they went through a lot of hell to keep that organization going. But they fed and clothed thousands and thousands and thousands of people and gave them the gospel and got them on their feet. When Catherine Booth died, they had her body lying in state in London, and they brought trains full of people for days to walk by and see her in her coffin, because they had done so much for people that all of these multiplied thousands of people wanted to come and pay their last respects. And one by one would go by her coffin and say out loud the wonderful things she did for them, how she got them off the street and how she fed them and all, and her husband who had done that with her. And they said when the crowds finally left, the casket was full of water from the tears of the people that looked at her. That's a legacy. Buddy, let me tell you, that's a legacy. God has called everybody that is saved to be a missionary. I know you're going to think that's a little odd coming from me, but it's true. Because listen to what Jesus just said. Go into all the world, locally, other places, and teach and make disciples of everybody, teaching them to observe what I've taught. That's your job. Yeah. There is no such thing as a bench-warming Christian. Amen. You can go, you can pray, you can support, you can help the others and get them launched out there, but everyone is called to the mission field of one place or another. Everybody is. There's no excuse. But the thing is, you got to prepare yourself before you do that. Now, I'm going to say this, and God knows my heart. I love all of our missions people. But there ain't a more motley crew than our missions team. Y'all know that. That's a fact. Because God calls the motley crews. He ain't going to call anybody that thinks they're doing him a favor by getting up and going and doing something for him. He will never call you to do a blessed thing. He calls the people that ain't able to do it to go do it. And then when he calls them, he empowers them to handle it. Every single time. Now, I'm going to ask Donna if she would have that door ready when the service is over so I can duck out of that one and not be confronted in the back for calling them motley. But y'all know what I'm talking about.
You know where you live.
That's right. That's true, unfortunately. But that's where God is. That's who He deals with. So if you were sitting here this morning thinking, man, I'd be the last one God would call for something like that. I have nothing to offer. I got all these problems. I got all this baggage. I got all of this stuff going on in my life. Hot dog, He will call you. Yes. He will call you, and He will empower you if you let Him do it. Amen. And I'm going to tell you something. I know all of them folks that were on that missions trip but watching them post last night, I would swear they got a hold to a steel down there. But they didn't. They were high on the Holy Ghost was what it was, because of what He did with them. There is no joy better than serving God and helping other people. There is no joy better than that. And because y'all got to feed those people and clothe those people, Mona and Lawana and all of the rest of them down there can now tell those people about Jesus. They're able to. Because you showed them that there is a God. That's right. Those people that are receiving these things know that you came down there and asked for nothing and gave them this stuff out of the goodness of your heart and out of the calling of the Lord. And they're going to say, you know, these people drove 6 hours down here to bring this stuff. There's got to be something about this God that's real. That's right. That's what they're going to look at. But you got to prepare yourself. And Paul wrote a letter to the Colossians in Colossians chapter 3. And whenever I sign a Bible, I always put one of the verses out of Colossians 3 in it. Because there's not going to be but a small group of people that are going to be obedient to the Lord and go and do these things. But everybody is called to do it. So in order to get ready for this, here's how you prepare. He said, if you then be risen with Christ, seek those things where? Which are above, where Christ sits on the right hand of God. You have to keep your sights high. That's right. Because if you look at this world for one blessed second, the devil will convince you that you will never be able to do it. He will convince you that you can't do it, that we're not going to get the resources, you're not going to be able to do it, it's just not going to happen, and he'll convince you the moment you take your sights and lower them. Because like Mike was saying, everybody knows what's going on in this world, it's getting worse and worse and worse. So he said this, set your affection, your love on things above, not on things on the earth. That's the problem with today's modern Christian. They are so busy out there pursuing all the things of the world, they do not have time for God. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't see how you could know the Lord truly and do that. I really don't. Not for long, before He drug you back kicking and screaming. Let me tell you this, if you can go out there and chase the things in the world and it don't bother you, then you can't be one of His children. You couldn't possibly be, because you would feel so convicted. I really believe the churches are filled with unsaved people today that think they're saved because they walked an aisle and said a sentence prayer and went and sat down and somebody patted them on the back and said, you're on your way to heaven. That's a big problem in the churches, and that's deceit from the devil. If you are really saved, you are going to want to serve God one way or another. Truly you will. You'll have a heart for God's people, and you want to help them. So set your affections on things above, not on things of the earth. Why? He said, because you're dead and your life is hid with Christ in God. If you are saved, your old life is dead. This flesh right here, by the way, is not redeemed, okay? If you think your body is redeemed, wait about 10 more years. You'll find out it's headed downhill real fast. Tina was showing me a form she had to fill out for the food bank today. And it said, do you have someone to succeed you? And I said, tell them no, that if you die, it's going straight to hell. And I said, here's an order, Tina, do not die. That's the only way I know how to put it, because I don't know how anybody can do what she does. I really don't. But the fact is that if the world remains, somebody's going to have to replace Tina one of these days, because we're the same age, and I can tell you I'm going downhill real fast.
Look, Dave, you don't have to tell my age.
All right. She's close to my age, let's put it that way. Lord help us. I didn't say which side. Then he says this, when Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then you shall also appear with him in glory. And you'll do it with a brand new body. But until then, you got to use what you got. Use what you got. Now, in order to prepare this old shell here to go and serve God, the first thing you got to do, he said in verse number 5, is mortify or put to death your members, not members of the church. Don't run. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, the parts of your life that keep you from serving God. And believe you me, the devil has all kinds of parts that he can offer you to keep you from serving God the way you should. The first one he mentions is fornication. Sexual sin will keep you from serving God, period. It will always keep you from serving God. That's one of his greatest weapons. We're even seeing leaders and churches and pastors falling over that particular sin. I honestly don't know how they can, because at the end of the day, I am so tired, I can't get into any kind of trouble. We need to send them to us, and we'll give them something to do, and they won't have no time for fornicating then, I can tell you that.
That's because they ain't doing God's work.
That's it. What happened to David when he refused to go out to war with his men and was laying around on his bed all day? The next scene, he got in trouble with adultery. Uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence or evil desires, and covetousness, which is idolatry. You get out of serving God and he'll give you all of these things to keep you occupied. Get rid of those things out of your life to where you will have time to serve God. Oh, folks, come on, let me tell you, there's nothing like doing that. None of these things will matter at all if you get busy serving God. For which things' sake the wrath of God comes on the children of disobedience, in the which you also walked sometime when you lived in them. So he reminded them, remember where you came from, remember where God saved you from. And put to death those things that hinder you from serving God. If you're going to be a good soldier, you can only concentrate on your commander and the orders that he gives, and not the other things that are going on in the world. Jim Grigg was telling me about how training was in the Marine Corps. I don't see how they lived through it, I'll be honest with you. But they had to shut themselves off from the rest of the world and communicating with the rest of the world for the longest kind of time because they had to concentrate on what their job was and their training. And that's the way it is with us. We need a little spiritual boot camp. And he said this, now put off these things out of your life. Anger, that's one of the biggest ones. If you want to walk around angry all the time, you're not going to have time to serve God either. I know people that are like the Cape buffalo. The Cape buffalo is the most dangerous animal on planet Earth. I did a study on that. High-powered rifle bullets bounce off the thing's skull and just makes him mad if you shoot at him. You got to have one of them huge cannons to take down a Cape buffalo. The Cape buffalo, they said, wakes up in a bad mood and his condition deteriorates throughout the day. They said when a Cape buffalo kills somebody, he'll trample them to death and then he'll walk off about 100 yards and stand there and think about it and get more and more angry and turn around and come back and stomp you some more. That's true. He just gets madder and madder and madder all day long, and there are people that live like a Cape buffalo all the time, always mad about something, and they get mad because there ain't nothing to get mad about. Stop it. Stole that from Nick there. Stop it. Wrath. Let God handle it. Quit always trying to handle everything yourself. Let God handle it. Some of y'all are not like a Cape buffalo, but some of y'all are like Aunt Esther. Ask your parents. She made a statement one time to a man, the Lord shall smite thee, but I can't wait. And she went after him. Let God handle it. Malice, evil doings, anger, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. And it said, stop lying one to another, seeing you have put off the old man with his deeds. That old man has got to go, or that old woman, whichever one. It's got to go. You've got to walk in the Spirit when you serve God. And you start doing that and you'll find out that these things will start going away quickly. And put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. And I like this, where there's neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision or uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond or free, but Christ is all and in all. Nobody's better than anybody else. Everybody has an equal opportunity. Did you know that Jesus is the equal opportunity Savior?
Amen.
You don't, please stop telling me that you're working on getting back into church. Please stop telling me that you're going to get yourself right before you come to church. Blah, 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 blah. You'll never do it. You'll never do it. I thank God that I didn't have to get myself right to come to church, because I still wouldn't be here. God's still working on me. You just make yourself available to Him and let Him guide you and let Him turn your life around. You will never be able to turn your own life around, ever. Let Him do that. He'll brush you off, put you on your feet, and put you to work. Put on, therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, and long-suffering. We've got to make a change of personality to serve God. Forbearing one another. That is an old English word for putting up with other people's foolishness. God puts up with yours. And I know He puts up with mine. Don't worry, I don't want to hear it. This has got to be the bravest woman that has ever walked the face of this earth. She has woke up beside me for 36 years and still has not run screaming into the woods at night. Either she's waiting for the opportunity to get me, or else she really loves the Lord. I'm hoping it's the second part there. Now, forbearing one another, forgiving one another. Look, if somebody in here rolled their eyes at you or said something that you didn't like, forgive them and move on. Get over it. Why? Because they're fallible human beings. And if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so do ye. And above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of unity. That's what holds us all together. I mean, it's usually rude to look around in church, but y'all go ahead and do that for just about 5 seconds. Y'all go ahead and look around at what's in here. Have you ever seen such a diverse and strange group of people in your life? I mean, normally on the street, if you never knew each other, y'all would never say hi. You would avoid the other one. You'd probably be scared of half of them in here. But yet you love one another in here, and I watch y'all hugging and shaking hands and doing all of that. Why? Because it's the Lord is the glue here that puts everybody together in unity. That is amazing. That proves to me that the Bible is true above anything else to see this. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, by the which you are all called into one body, and be ye thankful. Let God's peace rule over your hearts. Be peacemakers. We don't have time for all of this because we've got a lot of people to reach and a lot of people to minister to. And we're all called to be in one body. And he said, be ye thankful. You know, everybody in here this morning, when you got up, you had access to food for breakfast if you wanted. You woke up in a warm apartment, a warm house, a warm trailer, a warm shed. I don't know, whatever you got, it was warm. I'm sure it was. You all had something nice to wear. Somebody once said you could tell when I was at home if my shirt was on the line outside. Rest of y'all will get that later. I got a whole closet full of shirts, but I wear black. I've got a couple of flowery ones that I'll wear once in a while during the week, but I don't know. I just feel like I need to wear black on Sundays. I'm real formal. Look at this right here. Okay, it must be a cash thing, I guess. I don't know. We just like to wear black. Everybody in here had something to put on to come here this morning. But you know the sad thing, in just a few hours down the road, there are communities that they cannot leave. There are limited jobs. And here, one of the biggest problems, and I'll answer your question as to how come they can't do any more, is it's usually grandparents raising the grandchildren, and the parents are either dead or in prison or gone away or left or whatever, and you got elderly people on a fixed income raising 4 and 5 kids, and they have nothing to do it with, and they're probably spending $500 a month on medicine to stay alive. So what are they going to do? That's why those freezers down there are empty. That's why there's nobody helping. That's why they're looking to us, because we all got it. We have something. And a lot of times we're not even thankful for what we have and what God has blessed us with. We all live like kings compared to a lot of those folks in West Virginia and Kentucky. We live like kings. So it doesn't bother me at all to share what we have with them. More than happy to. Let me say something about being thankful. And I think I told Ed this morning. This is true. You know, we're small. We're not a big church at all. And some of these big churches around here put more on their nightstand at night than is their yearly budget. I know that for a fact. But it doesn't make no difference. I don't care. They can do what they want to do. When God calls us, he supplies. Amen. Here's the thing. It's true. No matter how much stuff we give away, God replaces it with more. Amen. We're getting more and more stuff coming in. I don't know it yet, but there's going to be people's going to be bringing us all kinds of stuff. I don't know who they are. They're going to give us donations. They're going to give us toys. They're going to give us clothes, food. And we will have so much stuff we can't carry it all down there. And then what we do take down there, it's going to get replaced as long as we are thankful for what God gives us. We need to be thankful of how God has blessed our little church to be able to do what we do and have as many people doing what they do to help. And let's remain thankful that the Lord has given us a place to worship and a church family and all the things, thank Him for the little things, because we've got a huge task ahead of us. I heard from Dawn and all about some other places that need ministering to, and that some of the people that we're helping are sharing what they have down there. And then I found out from Tina that she's helping supply in 3 nursing homes. And then we have a nursing home locally here that needs help. And on and on. And I know it looks overwhelming. I know it does. But it don't have to be. Just do it. And God will supply the needs. But people, what we need to do as Christians is prepare ourselves and get rid of these sins in our life that the devil is using to sidetrack us and to keep us from being able to do the things that he has called us to do. So first of all, as Christians, as we prepare for the invitation, think about it, look deep in your heart and get God to show you what is it that you need to depart with in your life so you can be the kind of child of God that He wants you to be. What is it that you need to get rid of? And I tell you what, get rid of it this morning and walk out of here and don't come back and get it. Don't be like that one man that came to a revival and put his bottle of liquor on the altar and he waited for after everyone left, he sneaked back in and got it back there. Don't do that. If you come down here to give something to the Lord, don't look back, don't come back for it, don't pick it back up, let God have it and walk away. Amen. Now this morning, if you have never been a Christian, if you've never given your life to Christ, if you've never been saved, we invite you to do something that you'll be glad you did 10,000 years from now. Come down here and take one of these folks by the hand and say, pray with me, I want to be saved. Maybe you need to be healed. Oh my goodness, folks, God is able. That crazy girl back there come up in here with a brain tumor, and we saw the x-rays or whatever they call that thing. And yeah, it did. And the medicine they were giving her was worse than the disease, and she just got off of everything and trusted the Lord, and it's gone.